Okay, this is part 2 in my series on using Excel for data analysis. And in this video, we're going to cover 4 important concepts, starting with structured references, enriching data with the day of the week, seeing the rationale for using a log change versus percent change, and then finally, we'll calculate volatility on a daily, monthly, and annual basis. So let's jump back into the data and start doing that. Okay, so here's our data set, and then the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start at the end there because it's the easiest thing to do. I'm going to get the day of the week based on the date, so then I can start doing some analysis based on that day of the week. And so I'm just going to right-click on the B column and insert. It gives me a column to the left, and I'll just sort of change the name here, and we'll call it weekday, and then I'm going to use the text function to get the weekday from the date. Okay, so lots of options here for what I could use text function for. We can use it in a variety of settings. Here I'm just going to try to get the day of the week, and to do that I'm going to specify that I want abbreviation of the day. So if I put in 2 Ds, it's going to give me the number, right? If I put in 3, it's going to give me an abbreviated day name, and the 4 Ds gives me the full day name. All right, and just notice what happened there. That is coming courtesy of the table feature. It automatically filled that formula down for us. All right, and then also notice if I look at any of the formulas here, it has a reference that is not a cell address, right? And this is called a structured reference. So we get the square brackets, the @ symbol tells you that it's the current row, and then the name of the column. All right, so just quickly, let me show you over here how we could use that another way. Over here, since the data table is named NVIDIA or NVDA, I can start a formula, and you'll see that, Excel finds the table name there, just like a named range. And then if I open a square bracket, I can start referring to any column that I'm interested in. Okay, so if I want something like the average closing price, I can get it like that. And you can see that, when I left the @ sign off, it selected the entire column, right? If I add the @ sign in, it's just going to, select the current row. All right, so pretty useful for working with this data set on other sheets, maybe in some other kind of a summary table. All right, so once we have our day of the week, the next thing I want to do is start looking at percent change here, and I'm going to start, and you see what happens as soon as I add a column heading. It expands our little database table out 1 column, and okay, now percent change is part of our structured references as well. And the traditional percent change would be something like ending minus beginning over beginning, which we can shortcut to just say ending divided by beginning minus 1. All right, and this is kind of the standard percent change that we sort of know and love. But in a time series, the data actually changes over time. And let me first start by getting rid of that. Since it couldn't calculate the first row, there's an error message there. So I'll just delete that. And then, let's go down to the end here. And maybe we're interested in knowing, what's the total change over this range of dates? And so if I sum this up, this is saying, it went up from the starting price, the first starting price, to the end here. It's saying it went up 40%. And what I'm going to tell you is that that is not correct. It's actually overestimating what the ending price is. Okay, so if I start up here, 136.05, and use this to sort of try to calculate an ending price based on that, I'm not going to get the correct value. All right, so you can see that, we actually ended at, just under 180, and this formula is suggesting that we ended at 190. All right, so obviously we can't use that over a range of dates. We can use it for a single day. That works just fine, but we have to use something else to get a range of dates. And what we use instead is the log change. So I'm just going to replace this. And simple formula here, log of the close over the previous close. Okay, and then, yeah, I might have to copy that down since the formulas are already there. And then, I end up with these little error messages that are somehow telling me that, there's something wrong with this. And really, there's not, right? But this is part of Excel's built-in auditing features to help us make sure we don't have errors. So I want to get rid of those. So I'm going to select everything. All right, and then with everything selected, I'll click on my little warning here, and I'll say ignore error. Okay, so we can see we get a much different total down here, 27%, almost 28. And then, how do I use that to calculate the total change over time? It was 136.05, and then I multiply that by an exponent of this. And I end up with the correct ending closing price. All right, let's go back up to the top here. And we might want to have a sort of a cumulative sum. And for this, I'm going to use the quick analysis feature. And so I'll just select all of the values. And you just kind of notice we get this little icon down here. Click that, and I'm going to select totals. Right, I want a running total, but I don't want it along the row. I want it along the column. So I'm going to go over here to the right, and I'm going to select the correct running total. Okay, so now I can actually graph that, and I can start using this to do some other analyses. All right, and then to calculate volatility, we have some options here, but usually with stock prices, we calculate volatility periodically throughout the year rather than one ending volatility. So to see an ending volatility, right, I can just sort of go down to the end here, and I can change this from sum to standard deviation. And when I do that, we're basically saying, okay, the daily volatility over this 13-month period was just over 3%. All right, so that's a daily volatility. If I want to convert that to an annualized volatility, I can take that value and multiply it by the square root of the periodicity that I'm looking at. All right, so in a year, there are usually 252 trading days, but there may be 251 or 253. This is close enough. All right, so to annualize something, we would multiply it by the number of days, the square root of that. All right, so the relationship with time and standard deviation is the square root of time is related. All right, so this is suggesting that the volatility for NVIDIA in this period was 49%. So pretty volatile stock. And anyways, familiar with the stock market knows that NVIDIA, yep, it's a pretty volatile stock. All right. Fortunately, it's volatile in the correct direction for most of us at this point. But like I said, we don't usually use that. It's not quite granular enough to start doing some kind of analysis or maybe trying to build some kind of trading intelligence or something like that. All right, so I'm going to go home here. And usually what we do is we calculate a daily volatility over the previous month. Right, and that allows us to sort of graph volatility over time. And so we can see, okay, when does it peak and when does it valley and that kind of stuff. All right, so I'll just name a column here, volatility. And I want 21 days. That's the number of days in a trading month. So I'll go down to the 23rd row here, and I'll drop in the standard deviation .s function. The reformulation there is the preferred method. And then I will look at the previous 21 days of changes. All right, so I'm saying that, right now, it's almost like a forecast of volatility. We're looking back at the previous 21 days and then seeing what is the volatility there. And, that's different than what I had down at the bottom. Right, so down the bottom was about 3%, and now we're saying it's about 2.5%. And by the way, if we, and I'll just sort of copy that down, we can see that the structured reference or the automation in Excel's table feature wasn't really happy with me starting down 21 rows here, so it didn't fill the formula automatically for me. Okay, I can do it myself just by double-clicking on the fill handle here. All right, and then just a couple more things here about volatility. If I want a monthly volatility, I will again multiply by the periodicity that I'm interested in. So if there's 21 trading days in a month, I'm going to take the current daily volatility and multiply that by the square root of 21 to get a monthly value. And then, similarly, I could add annual volatility here. And you might put these in just for completeness. So I'll take that and square root of 252. Okay, and it doesn't really matter that I have more than 252 observations here. All right, so we get a different story, and you can see that, somehow it went from 38 up to, 49%. So there must be something going on if we were to graph that, right? So let's take a quick look at that, and I'll just put it in a line graph. And we can see that, over that period of time, there were some pretty big spikes here a couple of times. All right, and then it seems like it sort of calmed down quite a bit here out towards the end of the data set. All right, and just, I'll put in some column headings there. So this is monthly, this is annual. And just so you know, if I want a 2-year volatility, then I take the standard deviation, I multiply the number of days in 2 years. So that'd be square root. All right, and in this case, 504 is 2 times 252. All right, and so that's what the volatility is. And so you can see it's not directly a linear relationship. All right, so I'm going to stop there. In the next video, we're going to start getting some more summary measures out of this without using that total row. So hope to see you there.